Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. The coronavirus has killed more than 4.5 million people in our world. We will begin this semester of Meaningful Mornings praying for those who are struggling with the loss caused by the coronavirus. And we will be grateful for our good fortune as we navigate through the coronavirus. Everyone pray and be grateful. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. May all be happy. Welcome again to Meaningful Mornings. What is Meaningful Mornings? It is not just about alliteration. In March of 2020, I was in Cleveland, and I had to fly to Seattle shortly after that. And the home I was staying in, the people I was around, many of their travel engagements were being canceled, whether to Delhi or to Chicago. And they were sharing with me that I too should cancel my trip to Seattle. And I was happy about this. I prefer not to travel rather than to travel. But I sensed that others would not feel the same happiness. That all of our extrovert expressions, how we try to find joy, are going to be canceled. I must do something to help people to evolve their focus or their source of completion from extrovert to introvert. And so on March 19th, the first day of spring in 2020, we began Meaningful Mornings. I'm now going to take you on a 450-day journey in 4.5 minutes. Be ready. In our first semester, our subject matter was making sense of stress. And the main teaching here, stress is just a thought. If you have a stress thought, you will feel stress. If you don't have a stress thought, you will not feel stress. So if I have this stress thought, what should I do? Change my thought, change my thinking. And the most efficient way to do this is japa, or meaningful repetition. In our second semester, we took upon ourselves the depth of the yogas. We started off with the integration path and how we need to be disciplined to be integrated. Then the intention path, and we have to be dedicated to be intentional. And the differentiation path, and how we have to be focused to be able to differentiate. In our third semester, we completed the fourth yoga, that is Bhakti Yoga. The devotion path is characterized by faith, having faith in you, having faith in what is guiding you. In that semester, we also completed Jivan Sutrani. And one of the main messages of Jivan Sutrani is you are responsible for your life, particularly your inner world, which then becomes your outer world. In our fourth semester, we began orienting ourselves towards the Mahabharata, leading into the Bhagavad Gita, specifically chapter 1. And the theme of chapter 1, which we can all relate to, is fear. Fear manifests in different ways: stress, anxiety, etc. Our fifth semester, we don't want to know about fear. We want to know, how do we come out of fear? So in our fifth semester, the theme was fearlessness. And the connection to go from fear to fearlessness is dedication. That's where we find ourselves now. When I had taught all of you Karma Yoga, or the intention path, you may not have realized this, but I summarized all of chapter 3 into 10 points. So we've already studied chapter 3 together in a summarized way. Now we're expanding that. You all did realize that, correct? You followed along with every verse and every connection. I am consistently shocked at how much passion there is for meaningful mornings. This started out as a casual idea that people are going to feel stress. Let's share thoughts on making sense of stress. But now this has become a community of inspiration. If you look around at where people are joining us from, who's joining us? Those who have no relationship with Advaita Vedanta, even with me. I'm feeling the majority of the people in community mornings. That's a good name too. Meaningful mornings that I've never met before physically. And lots of you ask our team lots of times about the recordings. I don't even know if we started recording this in the beginning, because that's how casual this is. And I personally don't feel that what I share with you is that significant or great. So that's why I'm so hesitant to even share the recordings, because there's so much more you can access than what we're experiencing. So you can keep on asking our team, but we just don't know what to do with the recordings, if we have them or whether they're of such a high quality to share them. What we're going to do in our sixth semester is continue to complete the teachings on dedication. We're going to complete chapter 4, where the focus is deserverlessness. In other words, to be free of this sense of being a deserver. We're going to complete chapter 5, which is on doershiplessness, to be free of the sense of being a doer. That way, when we start our 7th semester in January of 2022, what chapter will we be on? Chapter 6, and the focus is dhyana, or contemplation. The last verse I shared with everyone was 19. Asaktaha hi acharan. One should behave, one should live with asaktaha, which means detachment or independence. In what? Karma. In all that you do. Param apnoti purushaha. And if you do this, you, a human, will feel completeness. You will reach the highest. Summarizing that into a framework, the right actions with the right attitude will help us to feel the right Atman, that we are more than the body and mind and intellect. And when we feel this more fully, this will be the right Ananda, not a dependent joy, but a independent joy. As Sri Krishna completes this train of thought, he senses with Prince Arjuna, what proof is there? You have shared so much, 47 verses in chapter 1, 72 verses in chapter 2, and now another 19 verses in chapter 3. What proof is there? And here's where Sri Krishna begins, sharing proof and more. Chapter 3, verse 20. Karmaneva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha loka sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Karmana eva hi samsiddhim. By action alone, or only by action, samsiddhim, independent joy, perfection. Astitaha janaka adayaha, where personalities like Janaka, etc., established in this joy. The right action with the right attitude, Raja Janaka is proof, and not just Raja Janaka, we know so many other personalities. Like in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is the married man whose name is Shaunaka. He is like a principal of so many institutions and family members. Rishi Yajnavalkya, another dynamic personality. All of the names I'm sharing with you. And there's many more that you have read also, heard also. What makes them different than a person like me or us? They never forsake the divine for the world. Why were they living? Not for the world, they were living for the divine. And I've shared this with you in different ways. These personalities were living for presence, not a person. Yes? We tend to live for a person. More evolved than that is to live for a purpose. The most evolved live for the presence. And please keep in mind, you may not know this, but King Janaka and the great Shaunaka, all of them had more diverse and deep responsibilities than all of us. We tend to feel we have to escape from our responsibilities to be independently joyous. Conversely, we have to embrace our responsibilities. Loka sangraham evapi. Prince Arjuna, all of us, your feeling, your intention should be for loka sangraham, to protect the world. Sampashyan kartum arhasi. With this vision, go about your responsibilities. That's the translation. Sharing briefly. Sampashyan means vision. The word we have been using in this workshop is intention. Vision tends to be too abstract for us. Intention is not, correct? Why are you doing what you're doing? And this word sangraha, which does mean protection. See, then we go into these thoughts of, I should stop people from hurting other people. Fine, but protection is much deeper than that. The greatest way to protect another being, whether a human or an animal or a plant, is to make them independent, correct? Those parents who don't make their kids independent, aren't you harming your kids? If we think about this along the lines of the environment, are we living in a sustainable way with our environment? See how we're making our environment more dependent? endangered species, in terms of animals, in terms of plants. We're not making the environment more independent. Yes, how much more practical this becomes then. This is how we should go about all that we engage in. You please reflect on this, and I will share more when we continue with verse 20, verse 21. In summary, lead yourself. See, when we think of Raja Janaka, Rishi Shaunaka, we think of them leading others, but they're not leading others, they're leading themselves. In doing so, they lead others. And what does it mean to lead yourself? To convert values to virtues. Don't just say patience is a virtue, let it be your virtue. Yes? From inspiration to application. Your application from our last workshop, which was on August 15th, Independence Day, was for you to give your resources, time, and effort. Those who are dependent are receivers. Those who are independent are contributors. How many of you tried? See, for us, Independence Day is a national symbol instead of a vision or an intention. That was the purpose of your reflection adventure of the weeks. Here is your RAD, your reflection adventure of the day. Today is Vinayaka Chaturthi. The word Vinayaka is a lovely word. Nayaka means leader. There's an old Bollywood movie called Khalnayaka. Do you all remember watching that? A bad leader. And the word VI, or the adjective, is Vinaya. To lead with and by humility. So today, we should commit ourselves to leading ourselves with and by humility. And one way to do that is today, we have begun our crowdfunding campaign in America for our Chinmaya University. Your specific application is for you to become a Amba. We would like ambassadors of the university, and to me, better than the word ambassador is Amba. What does Amba mean? To be a caregiver. Care for this university. And if becoming an ambassador is too complex for you, support me as I go about being an ambassador. All of that is shared in the chat and will be shared all over social media. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.